I'm sorry.
It didn't have to be this way!
Dexter Resurrection was announced last year at the San Diego Comic-Con, and when that news came out, all of us die-hard Dexter fans were left wondering one thing. How? Because if you remember correctly, in the 2022 show, Dexter New Blood, the finale gave us the most shocking, but kinda also expected ending of it all. Dexter getting shot by his son, and left bleeding out in the freezing cold. At the time, the showrunner Clyde Phillips confirmed what we were expecting. Dexter is dead. But now, 3 years later, he just went, psych! So how did Dexter manage to survive that bullet to the chest? What is this new show about? Let's find out together. Also, consider yourself warned, anything beyond this point will be heavy spoilers. With that out of the way, let's get to it. A beating heart and camera shy. When the news of Dexter returning again was announced, Michael C. Hall, the man who breathed life into Dexter Morgan, said that it's really cold out here. At first, we all thought he was simply talking about the final scene, but what we didn't expect was for that to be the biggest clue for his return. As it turns out, because of the extreme cold, Dexter's heartbeat had slowed down, effectively saving his life. The story flashes forward roughly 10 weeks, where Dexter remains in a coma in the hospital. While in that state, he gets visions of people from his life. This is a cool little moment where we get back-to-back returns of favorite characters from previous seasons. The first one to show up is Arthur Mitchell, played by John Lithgow. He may have died back in Season 4, but he clearly impacted Dexter in more ways than one. Dexter asks Arthur if he's dead, and Arthur uses that moment to talk about how much it hurts to be killed by someone you're fond of. Talk about being passive-aggressive. They both argue back and forth, and as they do, the impact that Arthur had on Dexter shines through. After seeing this little meeting, Dexter gets visits from Miguel, whom he killed in the Season 3 finale, his father, and of course Sergeant Dokes, whom he killed in the second season finale. Surprisingly, Dokes is the one who tells Dexter that deep down, there's a piece of good in him, which Dexter should use now, and that was what woke Dexter up. Once he woke up, the doctor informed him about how the weather managed to save him, and now, once again, Dexter is back. The show doesn't indulge much in nostalgia bait, but this starting sequence was absolutely perfect. We get to see familiar faces return and start off the fresh saga of Dexter Resurrection. We also see Batista return in the show, after hearing Dexter is suddenly alive. He finds it a little strange that Angela, Dexter's girlfriend in New Blood, called him up, confirming that Dexter was the Bay Harbor Butcher, something that has shown up over and over again, even though Dokes was supposed to be the Bay Harbor Butcher. Dexter soon understands enough that Batista is on his tail, and he might even try to prosecute him. The plot progression of the show feels completely natural in the first episode, especially now that we have Batista on Dexter's tail. We're also introduced to Uma Thurman's character Charlie, who's one of the new cast members in Resurrection. Now before we move forward, let's talk about Harrison. So after his first kill in New Blood, Harrison shot his father and moved to New York. He lives in the Empire Hotel, quite literally moving from one room to the other while doing a great job overall. But then comes Ryan. Ryan is one of those rich guys who's exceptionally nice to the staff on the surface, but then, when the mask falls off, it gets way worse than anyone could have imagined. Ryan picked up this young girl named Shauna at the bar, whom Harrison had already met. From the way the girl was behaving, it was clear that Ryan had drugged her. Harrison, too, realized it, but tried his best to stay out of it. However, the moment he heard the girl say no, he rushed into the room and attacked Ryan. He bludgeoned Ryan's face with a toilet seat cover, and then, just like his father taught him, disposed of the body by chopping it up into 9 pieces. However, he didn't tie up the garbage bags just right because the garbage men found the body pieces, which led to a full-on investigation. As the media got a whiff of the news, so did Dexter. Hearing the 9-piece body and the place, he put 2 and 2 together and figured out this was Harrison's job. So off Dexter went to Manhattan, trying to be the right kind of father to Harrison and teach him the code like Harry did for him. The paternal and killer instincts kicked in the moment Dexter ended up in Manhattan. He started working covertly to see how well Harrison had covered his tracks, and surprise, surprise, Harrison did a pretty good job. However, there's one issue. Harrison is a lot more affected by his kills than his father ever was. In Dexter First Sin, we saw how Dexter Morgan ended up becoming who we met, and well, Dexter was pretty good at working around the guilt. Harrison, not so much. These differences between the father and son portray a very intriguing dynamic, and I would go as far as to say that this kind of dynamic justifies why this show exists in the first place. But that's not all. In the first episode, we're also introduced to another serial killer who's apparently active in Manhattan. He's this dude who goes after rideshare drivers, especially the ones who are immigrants. His weapon of choice is barbed wire, and while he hurls some racially charged insults, he saws off the driver's head. There have been 7 murders already, and the police have not done much about them. The media calls this serial killer the Dark Passenger, which gets under Dexter's skin a lot. So now, in this show, we've got 2 killers to follow. Dexter wants to go after this guy, the Dark Passenger, even though Harry keeps telling him not to, as Harrison is the priority. But Dexter insists that he can multitask. Lucky for him, the Your Car driver, Blessing, who picks up Dexter after his stolen vehicle gets towed, has a friend who survived the Dark Passenger. Blessing invited Dexter to his house party, where Dexter spoke with Blessing's friend, Chike, and learned about the Dark Passenger. Since Chike's dashcam recorded the whole incident, Dexter was able to find out that the guy is a cyber technician at the Bridge Data Network. With the power of the internet and very poor writing, Dexter was able to find out who the Dark Passenger is in a matter of seconds. A man named Roland Schmidt. As Dexter tries to scout the guy, we get the confirmation that he's right on his mark with the help of Charlie. You see, Charlie works for the serial killer organization. From what it seems, she's the recruiter and the main point of contact between the serial killers and the boss. We see her enter the apartment of Roland Schmidt and look for the tokens that he keeps as a serial killer. And sure enough, she finds the folder full of the driver's license belonging to the deceased. Their photos marked with a bloody cross. She delivers the invitation from her boss to Schmidt and makes her hurried exit. On the other hand, we have Dexter dealing with Harrison's work. Harrison has done a great job cleaning the crime scene, but not so much when it comes to the kill room. Dexter figured that Harrison used the kitchen to chop up the body as it was cleaned several times. And sure enough, that's what Harrison did. But Harrison failed to notice a tiny speck of blood left on the ceiling. I thought this speck of blood would play a huge role in the whole investigation, so imagine my surprise when I saw Dexter removing it with ease. With Dexter working in the shadows, things are getting difficult for Wallace and Olivia, the two cops on the scene. While the Dexter universe has always had very inept cops, these two cops are a bit different, especially Claudette Wallace. She picks up on things that others simply do not see. We saw her recognize each bag with the body parts based on the knots that Harrison used to tie the garbage bag. In the Empire Hotel scene, we saw Wallace point out that the bathroom where Harrison killed Ryan is too clean. Instead of using normal bleach, Harrison used oxygen bleach to wipe away any trace of bodily fluids. So Wallace figured that the killer must have been someone with forensic knowledge. Wallace also noticed a different shade of the toilet tank lid and easily identified the murder weapon. On reviewing the security footage, she quickly deduced that the date rape drug in Ryan's case was probably used on Shauna, so the death must have been a date rape gone wrong. Obviously, the police competence shown in this show is bad news for Harrison. Despite the walls seemingly closing in, Dexter is extremely proud of his son because Harrison is clearly following in his footsteps. By killing a serial rapist, Harrison might just be developing a code of his own. While Dexter is all giddy about that, Harry points out that bashing a guy's head in even after he's dead should not be a part of anyone's code. But Dexter couldn't care less. He brushed that aside as a mistake he made when he was Harrison's age. This led to Harry pushing him again to start helping Harrison a bit more. And to be honest, he really seems like he does. Even though Harrison got his GED and is a great guy overall, he's also snorting coke with Lance, the hotel valet, so things are not looking too good for him. He keeps having flashbacks of killing Dexter, so maybe if Dexter shows himself, Harrison would be a bit better. But for the time being, Dexter has no intentions of meeting Harrison. Instead, he keeps stalking his son and doing his best to make the investigation difficult. With how easily Dexter was able to help Harrison with the blood on the ceiling and the Roland Schmidt bit, I feel like he could use some challenge. And maybe that challenge would come from Batista. In Iron Lake, we saw Batista meeting with Teddy Reed, trying to find out where Dexter is after he escaped from the hospital. So chances are, Batista would end up in Manhattan following the trail of Dexter's car, which Harrison now owns and sold to Lance. Dexter, on the other hand, is finally getting his own car to become a Your Car driver and living in the basement of Blessing, hoping to get close to Roland Schmidt. He waited outside the Bridge Data Network building to confirm his suspicions, and surprise, surprise, he found Roland in kill mode. Let me explain that for a second. So remember Chike? Yeah, so he didn't submit the dashcam video because his visa had expired. But even if he did submit it, it wouldn't have helped much because the Dark Passenger's hoodie is lined with infrared lights. So the moment someone tries to click a picture, the hoodie completely obscures the face with the reflections. Dexter figured that Roland Schmidt would probably have his hood up when he leaves his office, and sure enough, he was. Just to confirm, Dexter posed as a tourist and clicked a few pictures, and the pictures of Roland showed that his hoodie was obscuring his face completely. Seeing how he was in kill mode, Dexter went ahead and saved the Your Car driver that Roland was targeting. He tried to follow Roland on foot in the subway station, but when a passenger brushed against his very recent bullet wound, Dexter was in too much pain to move, and Roland managed to get away. This was the moment when Dexter actually came clean to Harry about his change in character. Instead of risking everything to kill someone, for the first time ever in his life, Dexter was risking it all to save everyone else. So here we have Dexter in a vacant basement apartment with a New York license, with his real name, going after the Dark Passenger, while Harrison is merely an afterthought. A return from the grave. We can all agree that the series finale of Dexter in 2013 was polarizing to say the least. New Blood, on the other hand, had a mixed reception. After the original sin of last year, it makes sense that when Clyde Phillips decided to give us Resurrection, he was on a mission. This was his attempt at giving Dexter Morgan a second chance at a second chance, and this time, everything about this show went through a revamp. The two-part premiere was a banging opening, and everyone from fans to critics can agree on one thing: Michael C. Hall is in top form. Michael had been in and out of this character for about a decade, but despite that, he managed to slip back into Dexter with an ease that terrifies the onlookers. Back when Dexter was a common name in every household. We knew Dexter was the wolf in sheep's clothing, but in Resurrection, things are a bit different. Instead of being a hunter trying to mix seamlessly in the horde of prey, we have a ghost trying to figure out his place in life. We can see that Hall is loving every second as Dexter as he navigates his new life. Reddit fans feel like Dexter is now older, sharper, and more dangerous than ever, because he knows that there's no third act left. In Resurrection, Dexter does not narrate every scene because the subtle expressions and changes in his body language do more than enough to convey the menace that those voiceovers did. Instead of setting the story in a remote place like Iron Lake, Resurrection takes place in New York City, and that shift in place breathes fresh air into the show. The towering hotels, the alleyway, the hustle and bustle all add to the show. They restore the grittiness we had in the original show, but there's this heightened sense of paranoia because in NYC he's vulnerable and hunted. In a way, you could say that even though Dexter is back to his roots, he's also vulnerable because the world has clearly moved on without him. However, the biggest narrative hook of this show has to be Harrison. Harrison is physically active in NYC, coping with his violent urges and also killing a sexual predator. But once Dexter enters the show, you gotta start wondering, what if everything we're seeing so far is a lie? What if Harrison is doing everything to keep himself safe while imagining Dexter is there because he's that guilt-ridden? I think this kind of explains why, when we're in Dexter's shoes, it feels like he's not really worried about Harrison, even though he should be. I feel like the line between reality and hallucination is blurred when it comes to Harrison. Now, one of the best developments of the show is that David Zayas is returning as Detective Angel Batista. He's older and more determined than ever to uncover the links between disappearances and Dexter's death. Until now, Batista had always defended Dexter. He was the one who was always on Dexter's side. But this time, he's the one going after the old friend. That adds some weight to the show because this time we have real consequences. Batista coming after Dexter means, eventually, whether he likes it or not, Dexter has to face the reckoning he managed to avoid all this time. So in a way, Resurrection is all about inevitability. Dexter is on borrowed time. The writing of the show has kind of confused me, if I'm being honest. There's no cringeworthy monologues, and there's no noir tempo to the show, which I love. But then again, the writing feels clunky. Some dialogues are extremely on the nose, like, why is Dexter saying the same damn thing 2 times in one episode? That makes no sense. Also, the first episode was tonally a lot more fast-paced. But then, the faster pace takes an immediate nosedive in the second episode, and for what? The writing is better, but it could be a lot better. But then again, it could have been a lot worse. Fans think that this is the closest we've come to the original tonality of Dexter as a whole, and I kind of agree. Critics have welcomed the show with 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, but fans, on the other hand, have given it 75 to 80% only. They're happy, but they have concerns about the show. The whole Killer Club sounds great, but what if it ends up cartoonish? Will Dexter remain as a character we can root for, or will this show completely butcher the Bay Harbor Butcher? Despite these very valid concerns, overall the fans are interested, and I can totally see why. The buzz around Dexter is again peaking because Resurrection feels like a good show. Marvelous verdict. So now we have to sit and watch as Dexter Resurrection runs its full course. This show could be the ending we fans have been waiting for such a long time. It could stick the landing and be the best of all the spin-off series we've gotten so far surrounding Dexter, or it could end up becoming a bloody detour, which wouldn't make much sense. Either way, it's too soon to tell. But what we can say for sure is that the story is playing the right cards. We have the right balance of thematic callbacks, emotional stakes, and world building. So let's see where Dexter Resurrection takes us, shall we? Let us know in the comments what you guys think about the show, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!